ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ ಹರಿ ಓಂ. ಓಂ ಸಹನಾವವತು ಸಹನೋ ಭುನಕ್ತು ಸಹ ವೀರ್ಯಂಕರವಾವಹೈ ತೇಜಸ್ವಿನಾವಧೀತಮಸ್ತು ಮಾ ವಿದ್ವಿಷಾವಹೈ. ಓಂ ಶಾಂತಿ ಶಾಂತಿ ಶಾಂತಿ. So yesterday we saw what is the inherent nature, what is the definition for Ishvara, what is the definition for Jiva. So until now we have been seeing in all the other texts, Jiva is avidyavachchina chaitanyam and Ishvara is māyāvachchina chaitanyam. That is a simple way of presenting. Here, since we are following the Abhasavada, which Bhagavan Bhashyakara recommends and which Bhagavan Bhashyakara follows, though the other Vada is called as Avachchinna Avachcheda Vada, there is also Bimba Pratibimba, which is similar to Abhasavada. The difference is Bimba Pratibimba, reflection reflected Vada, the school of reflection reflected. There, the reflection is accepted to be real. Here, the reflection is also accepted to be illusory. That is the difference in the Abhasavada. Abhasa means seeming reality, not real. So, in this situation, we are seeing the Abhasavada when we have established the Jiva and Ishvara based on this. Jiva is the Adhisthana Chaitanya, the substratum, and ego, substratum plus ego or the buddhi or ignorance, does not really matter. Substratum plus ignorance plus avidya plus your reflection on the ignorance, reflection on the avidya, reflection on the intellect. That is what is your Jiva. And Ishvara is again the same substratum plus ignorance plus reflection on ignorance. There is no difference between these both. So we have to bring in a difference between, seeming difference between Ishvara and Jiva. Therefore we say, no. Ishvara is someone who has Maya and Jiva is someone who has avidya. What is avidya and Maya? They are same, but not same. What is this confusion? They are same because they are both ignorance, but they are not same because this is pure ignorance, that is impure ignorance. These kind of stories you can go on saying. There is no end to this. Just forget about all those things. He said Maya and avidya is, because I am asking not because I am asking because you have established it. You have defined it. Since you have defined it, there is an object, there is a knowledge. So I am asking regarding that. For those people, he says, forget about all that. māyātatkāryavilaye neśvaratvaṃ na jīvatā tataḥ śuddhacidevāhaṃ cidvyomanirupādhitaḥ. You have no reason for asking anything regarding that, because māyātatkāryavilaye na īśvaratvaṃ na jīvatā tataḥ śuddhacidevāhaṃ cidvyomanirupādhitaḥ. Listen to this. māyātatkāryavilaye. Maya and its effect. When it is a vilaya, when it is merged. Vilaya means visheshena laya. Oh, merging. What is the greatness in merging? Special merging and general merging. There is no classifications like that. Then why do you call it vilaya? What should I have said? Nashe, vinashe. Vilaye, instead of vilaye, you say vinashe, destruction. When the Maya and its effect are destroyed. No, I can't say destroyed. Why you can't say destroyed? Because it is not really created. Only something which is created, you can destroy. This is not something which is created. You have not created, the rope has not created the snake. It is just a seeming existence. So I cannot say I have destroyed the snake. That's stupidity. I have merged the snake in the rope. That is okay. Okay. But there is another problem. What is the problem? Whatever has merged can demerge. That can emerge again from that. Yes. Whatever has merged, it can emerge from that. That doubt need not be there for you. Why? Because after knowing that it is rope, no amount of effort can make you see the snake. No amount of effort can make you see the snake. Simple. Is that a sheep or is that a goat? When I have explained that it is a dog, no amount of effort can make you see a goat or sheep. Simple. So similarly, when you see the rope, no effort can make you see the snake again. It is gone once for all. So that is why we call it vilaya and not nasha. He says, what happens if the effect of the maya and its effect, they are both merged, they have both disappeared, dissolved. What happens? He says, neśvaratvaṃ na jīvatā na. There is neither Ishvara nor Jiva. There is no Ishvaranas, there is no Jivanas. There is no the collective self nor the individual self. Why? Because aham, then you are not existent. No. I didn't say that. I said there is no Ishvara or Jiva. There is no Ishvaranas or Jivanas. I didn't say I will not exist. Why? I will not exist. Why? Aham nirupādhitaḥ cidvyomanirupādhitaḥ. I am one nirupādhitaḥ, without the embodiments of the Jiva or the Ishvara, which is avidya or Maya. Without those embodiments, nirupādhitaḥ, without those embodiments, cidvyoma, cidu akasha. See, there we said akasha with reference to the cidabhasa, jalakasha and cidabhasa, jalakasha, cidakasha. When you merge, no, I'm just joking. This is not like that. Cidakasha, cidvyoma means cidakasha. Cidakasha means knowledge, which is like the space, ether. What is space? Ether. In the Shruti, it is said the space is the akasha is akashavat sarvagatascha nitya. When the self is spoken about, he says self is like a ether, space. It is all pervading and eternal. Because for us, space is something which is all pervading and eternal. We cannot imagine a state where there is no space. It is impossible for us to imagine a state without space. So for our intellect to grasp, it is said that it is like space. That does not mean space is eternal. Because Shruti very clearly says, Atmana akasha sambhutaha. From the self came into existence the space. So space is not eternal. It is just a, why did you say it like that? Just because I say, okay, self is something which cannot perceive. It cannot be objectified, but it can be experienced. I don't understand. I'll give an example, like the current. Oh, then put your hands in the plug. No, that is not. I am not talking about the experience of electricity. I am talking about the self. So it is just for the explanation's sake we are using that. Chidakasha, akasha, chidakasha, chidyoma, chid akasha. In that name, the self is very famous, chidakasha. And in fact, there is a place called Chidambara in Tamil Nadu. Chidambara. Chidambara is the name of the place, Chidambara. It is actually Chit Ambara. Ambara means a space, ether. Same, Vyoma. Cidvyoma or Chidambara, they are same. And in Chidambara, they have a secret. They say, Chidambara Rahasyam, secret of Chidambara. You go to the high pedestal, there go climb the stairs, and in front of the sanctum sanctorum, you will be made to stand. So till that close area you can go. Everyone is allowed to go there. Now there is some politics. Anyway, so you can go and see. They have a curtain behind the wall of the statue. The statue is there. The statue of Nataraja is there. Behind there is a wall. So they'll do the arti for this Nataraja, and they'll Ask if do you want to see the secret of Chidambara? Yes. They open the curtain and show Harati. There you will find a creeper, not a creeper, a creeper with of like bilva leaf creeper kind of leaf and a creeper. That's what is this Chidambara Rahasya. You are known now. Chidambara Rahasya. Chidambara, we are talking about is cidvyoma, cidakasha, the self. And śuddhacid, and that is nothing but the pure self. When you say Chiddha Akasha, Cidvyoma, Chidambara, you don't imagine anything. It is the pure self alone. Nothing other than pure self. Okay, very good. Now, what is that? It says, satyaciddhanamanantamadvayaṃ sarvadṛśyarahitam nirāmayam yatpadaṃ vimalamadvayaṃ śivaṃ tatsadāhamiti maunamāśraye satyaciddhanamanantamadvayaṃ sarvadṛśyarahitam nirāmayam yatpadaṃ vimalamadvayaṃ śivaṃ tatsadāhamiti maunamāśraye. So, after establishing that without the embodiment, I am the absolute self, he is going into the state where he is explaining that, he is explaining what that is really, the inherent nature. Remember this, what I said. He is explaining the inherent nature. He is explaining what he is talking about. There is a point in stressing the word explaining. Okay, we'll come to that later. Satyaciddhanam. Satya means truth. Sat, chit, anandam, satyam, jnanam, anantam. There he took satya. Then instead of satyam, jnanam, instead of jnana, he said chid. Sat, chit, ananda. He took chit. Since we are talking about chit, so he brought in chit. Chit ghanam. Ghanam means swarupam, nature. Satya, chit, swarupam. Now is he going to say anandam or anantam? Satyam, jnanam, anantam. So he says anantam. But you should have said anandam, right? The Brahman is anandam. No. Brahman is not anandam. That is a different thing. No. He says by saying anantam, he implied anandam also. Ananta is ananda. How can ananta be ananda? Ananta means unlimited. Ananda means bliss. How can be unlimited be bliss? Because the Shruti very clearly says, Yo vai bhuma tadvai sukham nalpe sukham asti. That which is unlimited can only be bliss. There is no possibility of any bliss in anything limited. So, ananta means anandam. Satyam, jnanam, anantam, satchidanandam is established now. After that, he says, okay, anantam, I understand. What do you understand? The logician comes and says, I understand there are multiple unlimited selves. You are also talking about that. Because in logician, the logician accepts jiva to be nana, vibhu, multiple as well as omnipresent. How can you accept multiple jivas and they all are omnipresent? That means whatever is your experience will be my experience, or my experience will be your experience. There will be confusion of whose experience is this? Whose energy is this? There will be confusion of this problem. So he says, no. There is a limitation. They made a mistake, then they are going to give escape route for that mistake. We are not going to do that. He says there may be multiple, the self may be ananta, but it is a advayam, non-dual. There is no doubt regarding that. Okay, then if it is non-dual, then what about? Don't even ask. There is no world here. Sarvadṛśyarahitam. There is no world or experiences of the world. It is impossible here. Sarvadṛśyarahitam. It is devoid of anything which is perceived. Okay, then if there is no experience, then if there is no experience, there is nirāmayam. There is no defect of happiness or sorrow. Because all the experience of happiness and sorrow is because of the limited objects. Drishya. There is no limited object here. Since there is no limited object, there can be no experience. Amayam, problem, trouble. There is no trouble. See, why is there no trouble? He says, bimalam, because it is pure, devoid of the defect of ignorance. Since it is devoid of the defect of ignorance, there is no trouble. Because ignorance begets the trouble. So he says it is devoid of that. Why? Why it is devoid of ignorance? Because ignorance is duality. Advayam. It is non-dual. See, he is using the word advayam twice. Anantamadvayam, vimalamadvayaṃ. To make a point, never forget it is non-dual. Never forget you are non-dual. So, okay, when it is advayam, I understand. You are one poor soul. Why? See, you are afraid of duality. I see that. Dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati. The Shruti says, when there is duality, there is fear. You understand that. But you forgot another statement from the Shruti. What is that? Ekaki na ramate. Ekaki, one who is alone, na ramate, he cannot enjoy. Now the opponent has put a checkmate. Says. Now we say, no, you forgot the important moot point, which is a śivaṃ. This non-dual state is a śivaṃ. Śivaṃ means mangalam. What is that? See, that which is auspicious can never be painful. So, mangalam. Yad padam. Which state? It is not state. That which state, normally padam means state. Here it's not stage or state. Padam means padaniyam. That which needs to be gained by one who is ignorant, one who does not understand this. He doesn't say, I have gained. He says, tatsadāhamiti. I am always that. I am always that non-dual self. Now, iti, after understanding this, what are you going to do? See, we already said, na krita krite tataḥ, whether he has done something or he has not done something, that doesn't trouble him. So he can do or undo things. He can do or do it otherwise. He can destroy or create. He can destroy or bless. So what are you going to do? maunamāśraye, I am going to keep quiet. maunamāśraye, I am not going to do any act. I am not going to perform any act. Because what is act? All this presupposes ignorance. There is no ignorance in me. Therefore, there can be no possibility of action. I'll come to that later. But now, here he says, maunamāśraye. Remember, in Taittiriya Upanishad, after gaining the realization, this fellow, this disciple, Varuna's son Bhrigu, he goes on to sing the Sama. Atha samagayan aste ha vuha. Like that, he starts singing. Joyous song. Now, are you going to do this? No. What is your nature? In the Sarvvedanta we saw, in the same place, I explained this also, and I also said, he says, tushtim evacha. Tushtim means silence. Silence and more silence. Maunavyakhana prakatitam. That is what is maunavyakhana. That is why he stays silent. Because whom to share, whom to not share. What is there other than you? That is why he stresses the point. Advayam. There is nothing other than you. Then what is the worry and what is the trouble? So, but still, if you ask, he says, pūrṇamadvayamakhaṇḍacetanaṃ, viśvabhedakalanādivarjitam, advitīyaparasaṃvidaṃśakaṃ, tatsadāhamiti maunamāśraye, pūrṇam advayam akhaṇḍacetanaṃ, viśvabhedakalanādivarjitam, advitīyaparasaṃvidaṃśakaṃ, tatsadāhamiti maunamāśraye. Pūrṇam. I am absolute. Why are you absolute? How can you be absolute? Because advayam, I am non-dual. Since I am non-dual, I am absolute. No, is there no other kind of consciousness, etc. He says, akhanda chetanam, and I am undivided consciousness, undivided knowledge. Then what about this world? Viśvabhedakalanādivarjitam, I am devoid of the kalana, means bubbles. That which is just a fleeting existence, which does not have real existence. So he says, tad viśvabhedakalanādivarjitam, the transient existence of whatever world you see, those kind of existence, devoid of those kind of existence. There is no seeming existence of the world also. Why? Then what is your nature? Advitīyaparasaṃvidaṃśakaṃ. Amsha means part, normally portion, part. Here he says amsha in the sense of nature. I am of the nature of the superior knowledge. Parasamvid. Now samvid means jnana, knowledge. And here he says superior knowledge. The worldly knowledge is knowledge, but when compared to the worldly knowledge, this knowledge is a superior knowledge. That is why we say parat, paraha, superior than the superior, greater than the greatest. So he says why it is superior knowledge? Because it is non-dual knowledge. Since it is non-dual knowledge, it is superior knowledge. Only when there is a duality, there is possibility of inferiority and superiority. When there is no duality, there is only superiority. There is no inferiority. See, inferiority comes only when there is something to be compared with. There is nothing to be compared with, since that is only one, that is superior. Like I gave an example of one ad. This fellow comes and tells his mom that he has won comes second in the race. So the mother prepares her some sweet meat. She prepares gulab jamun. Father comes. What is the happiness? He also takes one gulab jamun and eats, and says, what's the happiness? What's the joy? What's the joyous moment? The mother says, he came second in the race. So there is two. When the father asks, he eats. And second question is father's question. Father says, how many people participated in it? He looks at his father and looks at the gulab jamun. There is only one gulab. He puts it in his mouth and says, 1, 2 people. And he runs away. So there were only 2 people participating, and he came as the second. So how many people were here? He says, advitīya. Since there is nothing to be compared with, it is superior. Advitīya samvid yadu satyaciddhanamanantamadvayaṃ maunamāśraye. I am that, therefore, understanding this, stay silent. But wait. You have to be able to explain that experience somehow. How? Explain it through the experience of the world. How? Like they say, somebody is searching something somewhere under the light. What are you searching? I lost my ring. Where did you ring lose? There in that corner. Why are you searching here? There is no light there. So, like that, you have to search only in the place where you lost. Where did I lose things? Where am I unhappy? In this world. So where should I find happiness? In this world. Good logic. So how will you explain this inexplicable? You have to find some way. So, okay. In the world, happiness, you cannot explain happiness. Pain, you cannot explain pain. When I say gulab jamun, I said gulab jamun. What is gulab jamun? For people who don't know, I'm trying to explain. Gulab jamun is a sweet. Okay. How sweet will it be? Oh, that's another question. It is like a halwa. You don't know what halwa is. It is like it is great. It is less than halwa and greater than your rasmalai. You don't know what rasmalai is. You don't know what halwa is. Now, how will I be able to translate what gulab jamun is like? It is impossible. Pain. How much is the pain? The doctors ask this question. How much is your pain? If I have fever, then I can put a thermometer and say 103, 105, 107, something. How much is the pain? In a scale of 1 to 10. What is in a scale of 1 to 10? 1 is very less pain, 10 is a very high pain. 4. My 4 is not your 4. Do you understand? That is how we are interacting with the world. Whatever I see is not what you see. My 4 is not your 4. And that fellow, that doctor understands your 4 seemingly, and he prescribes a medicine seemingly. That is the confusion. Now, here we have to explain this fellow wants us to explain the self through the experience of the world. For that we say, janmamṛtyusukhaduḥkhavarjitam jātinītikulagotradūragam cidvivartajagato'sya kāraṇaṃ tatsadāhamiti maunamāśraye janmamṛtyusukhaduḥkhavarjitam jātinītikulagotradūragam cidvivartajagato'sya kāraṇaṃ tatsadāhamiti maunamāśraye. Some people do desire to explain it through the world, but it is impossible to explain it through the world. The reason is this. What is world? Samsara. Samsara. What is samsara? Bhagavan Bhashyakara explains samsara as janma marana lakshana samsara. Janma mrityu lakshana samsara. What is samsara? Samsara is cycle of birth and death. So, what is samsara? Cycle of birth and death. So, in between birth and death, when there is no birth, I cannot explain it with birth. There is no death, I cannot explain it with death. So, in between birth and death, you have different experiences. Those don't exist in me. What are the experiences? Sukha dukkha. So, it is divided. Janmavarjitam, mrityavarjitam, sukhavarjitam, dukkhavarjitam, etc. It is divide. Varjitam means divide of. It is divide of birth. It is divide of death. It is divide of happiness. It is divide of sorrow. It is divide of all these ideas. How can I explain that now? Okay. When I ask, who are you? You don't say, I am happy, I am sorrow. You don't say, I am born, I'll die. When I ask, who are you? You are going to say, I belong to this family. I am this and that, etc. So, simple. Explain through that. Okay, that's a good way of understanding. Let us see. Jātinītikulagotradūragam. Jati duragam, niti duragam, kulag duragam, gotra duragam, like that you have to understand. Jati means your lineage, your family. Your lineage in the sense, you can say jati means either your family or species class. Humans, animal, jati. Or you can say man, woman, jati. Class, that is also a class. So any class, like the human class or the animal class or the male class or female class or your Brahmin class or Kshatriya class, etc. You can say that also. Jati. Then once you say it is jati, duragam, it is beyond the grasp of, it is not and the purview of jati. Then the next is the niti. Niti means dharma, the duty. So for every particular class, there is a duty. So can you discuss it with reference to the duty, niti? No, niti duragam, it is beyond the scope of niti also. Okay, then kula. Kula means your family. Because even before explaining that, now in the schools, when you take the kids to the school, first the kids have a test. They'll have a test. Once they clear that test, then the parents will be put to test. They'll ask parents, can you do that? Can you do that? Because they want the parents to be able to manage the kids, to teach the kids in the home. So, or will you be able to support the studies of the kid? Not just the studies, also the study money. That is also important. Will you be able to pay? Otherwise, one seat lost. They don't want that. So they ask that. Only after understanding, they'll give you a seat. Similarly, in Upadeshasri, Bhagavan Bhāshyakara says he should have to be inquired about his family lineage also. Who is his father? Who is his mother? What are they and what are they not? Kula, Duragam. It is beyond the scope of that also. So I cannot explain with reference to that. Okay, not Kula, then Gotra. If not your immediate family, your lineage, there is something that comes in the gene pool, they say, right? So lineage, Gotra means lineage, your ancestors. So there is a connection with your ancestors. Please tell your ancestors. When people introduce in the Brahmin's family, they have this abhivadana. They call it abhivadana. Abhivadana means salute. So when you introduce yourself to someone, they do abhivadana to the same class and higher class. That is what it is. Abhivadana, during Abhivadana, they say, I belong to this family of rishis. I belong to this family of rishis. Oh, okay. So here he says that also is beyond the scope of my nature. So I cannot talk with reference to any of this. Okay. Cidvivartajagato'sya kāraṇaṃ. Why? Because cidvivartajagato'sya cidvivartajagataḥ kāraṇaṃ yad. Asya, for whatever you are talking about. Whatever you are talking about, this jagat. What is this jagat? In fact, if there is some existence in it, I will be able to talk about it with reference to that, relatively at least. Here, it is vivarta. It is seeming existence. It is not even existence. And vivarta of what? The cause, which is the self, me, I. So, it is the vivarta of Chaitanya, consciousness, seeming transformation of that consciousness. That cause, which I am, tatsadāhamiti. I am always that. So, when this is the situation, aham iti maunamāśraye, therefore, I keep quiet, I keep silent, I don't explain anything. Now, why do you keep silent? Why don't you talk? Again, same question. Good. First, you have to understand. Talking is an activity. Talking is an activity. The activity presupposes a desire. I want to talk this. So an activity presupposes a desire. And desire presupposes, this is a thought, presupposes the existence of mind. And that mind presupposes the existence of ignorance. Avidya, kama, karma is the order. First ignorance, then desire, then you have a activity. Without the ignorance, there can be no desire. Without the desire, there is no mind, therefore there is no thought function of desire. Without the desire, there can be no activity. So, since I am the cause for all that transformation, seeming transformation, there is no possibility whatsoever for me to speak. But wait. Somehow, please try. These people, some people are relentless. They'll always want to put their point. Somehow, yes, I understand. After saying, they'll say, yes, I understand. But still, okay, what do you want to know? I want to know about that self. Very good. Okay. Now, let us forget about the self and the creation. Okay. Let us see the rope and snake. Rope is substratum, self is substratum. Snake is a vivarta, seeming transformation of rope. Similarly, the creation is seeming transformation of the self. Right? You understand, right? Okay. Now, you want me to explain the rope. I am going to explain rope with reference to the snake. Because you want to understand the self with reference to the creation. the seeming transformation. So I will say rope is that which in darkness or semi-darkness looks like a snake. That which is perceived as a snake in semi-darkness is rope. You wanted the rope. I'm explaining you the rope. That which is perceived as a snake in semi-darkness is rope. Does this really make you understand the rope? Is this the real explanation for rope? It can never be. Why? Because he says you cannot speak with reference to anything, because whatever you speak is not that. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha, the mind and words return back without grasping it, because it is not an object of word and mind. It cannot be explained, because even if it is explained, how can you understand? Because you don't understand what it is. So it cannot be understood. With reference to something, it cannot be explained. So he says, ulūkasya yathā bhānau andhakārah pratīyate svaprakāśe parānande tamo mūḍhasya bhāsate. Ulūkasya yathā bhānau andhakārah pratīyate svaprakāśe parānande tamah mūḍhasya bhāsate. Yatha, example, yatha bhāno. Yatha, like bhāno means under the sun, in the sun. What happens when the sun shines brightly? Why lightly? Brightly. Ulūkasya, ulūka means owl. For the owl, andhakārah pratīyate, only darkness is seen. The owl has never seen a sunrise. An owl can never see the brightness of sun. Its eye is like that. So similarly, tataḥ parānande svaprakāśe, in the absolute bliss self, which is a self-effulgent, you don't need any other proof for seeing the sun. You open your eyes, if your eyesight is proper, then the sun is visible. And the self also, you don't need anything to see the self, because it is of the nature of absolute bliss and it is self-effulgent. You don't need anything there. But still, mūḍhasya tamah bhāsate, for this idiot, only darkness, ignorance is perceived. He does not see the absolute bliss, the self-effulgent bliss. Now, whatever that may be, you cannot explain it through the worldly experience. And you said it is self-effulgent. You added that word. That is why I am asking. Self-effulgent, absolute bliss. If it is self-effulgent, absolute bliss, why am I not experiencing? If it is self-effulgent, I should be experiencing it. Everyone should be experiencing it. But why are we not experiencing it? Why do we have to go through this Vedanta? So for that, the answer is self-evident. Yes. Is self-effulgence? Yes. But still, they're like in the defect of the dream is because of the defect of sleep. The snake is because of the defect of darkness or defect of eyesight. Similarly, there is the defect of ignorance, which makes you not see the absolute self. This we'll see. Om pūrṇamadah pūrṇamidam pūrṇāt pūrṇamudachyate pūrṇasya pūrṇamādāya pūrṇamevāvashishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti.